You're not wearing it anymore. It's okay. Welcome back, everyone. Very good. Welcome back, everyone, to the Show of Requirement Harry Potter podcast. Podcast on every streaming service. And if you're not watching on YouTube, you're missing out on a little bit of some surprises. I'm Spencer, one of the co-hosts of the podcast, and with me today, while David is out of town,
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Pillowcase Blum.
So today, listeners, we are talking about how house elves house elves find a way. I can't do it.
I was gonna say I can't quote this Jeff Goldblum line, but looking at how the spew storyline was resolved, that is an enormous pile of
Lego actually made a set of that.
That's dumb.
including the Triceratops, a car, and the big pile of poop.
Very good.
That you can dig around in.
And I have a nice prop as well, which I will show to the YouTube people. And if you're listening, you're just missing out. Nothing like a little low effort prop, just for the sense of the occasion. Now, as I told Cole before recording, we're just getting our books out and just seeing what we're going back into the trove of what we just read, book club style. It's going to be a little more loose. If I do have a funny title for a chapter, it's going to just be on the fly. Or Cole might have one.
On the fly. Because I read a skeeter.
Oh, gosh. That's a good one. Also, rip all the spiders in this section of the book. What did you think of this piece of the book compared to last time?
Cole. We actually got to like the fun parts.
And some things that I don't like. There's a part of Harry Potter that I don't enjoy, and this starts to get into that. And I'm not just talking about spew. I'm actually talking about other things. But yes, this is the episode where we're going to be diving in a little more into spew, hence my tagline, which Cole loves, I should add. Spew forever. Anyway, it's the one thing we're missing, Cole. It's the one thing that'll make this reboot better than the movies.
Just Adam Driver is Severus Snape.
Yeah, that's the first thing. But the other thing is everyone's saying, "Oh, you gotta have spew for what? For what? What's the point?
Why?"
All right, chapter 13. Okay, Mad-Eye Moody. This isn't even the chapter where we get a lot of Mad-Eye Moody, though. That's just like him showing up at the end. But I guess it's still a good introductory chapter for him. I do like to make notes of the pictures in the book, especially the regular ones, not necessarily the illustrated. I don't like this Mad-Eye Moody. That is how the book describes him, but the steampunk one in the movies, played by Brendan Gleeson, is just something else. Really, chef's kiss.
There's no one else that could have done it as well.
I disagree.
No,
but that's not discounting Brendan Gleeson. Because you know who I thought it was for a second when I was rereading this? I was like, was that Jared Harris? I was like, no. But see, he would have been good.
He would have been good.
He would be good as anybody, though, in the reboot. I think he needs to be there.
As long as he has his tagline that they left out of the movie. Constant vigilance.
Constant vigilance. He would be good as Moody. If you wanted a larger role, he'd be a good Dumbledore, honestly.
And he looks enough like he could be like an older Jude Law. Not that we're following that anymore, but I could see. I'd like him. He
would fit well into the mythos of the Jude Law, Michael Gambon. He'd be a very much in between of those.
Yes,
making. I guess not that people want this, but we can make Fantastic Beasts fit in with the reboot, I guess, if they wanted to go that direction. But he also is a redhead that's gotten older, which is what Dumbledore was.
The only thing I've seen him in like maybe two things. The Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes, and then Chernobyl is about all
I was going to say he's very famous for Chernobyl. The other thing that a lot of people have seen that they don't really pair him up with is he's King George in The Crown.
Yes.
Like the first season.
Yes.
Man, that guy's just awesome. I don't know if there's much he can't do. And I think this would be a much better role for him than... I just don't know what he'd play in a comic book movie. So this would be a good Fantastic
He was in a comic book movie.
What?
Morbius.
But I haven't seen Morbius, Cole. I just pretend to have seen Morbius. As I will pretend to see Craven. No, I might actually see Craven. I'm just... different podcast for a different day. But... man, we're going back to the beginning of this section. It's like, well, people didn't hate Harry in this part.
Right.
Yes. But there was something I wanted to note on this page. Oh, this is the part of the book that addressed how wizards in their teens don't have acne.
That's funny because that's the mission I was playing right before this on Hogwarts Legacy. It's like a side mission where you go get like some stuff to help make a potion, anti-acne potion.
Well, there's that, but this is also Boober Tuber.
Yeah, Boober Tuber. Yeah.
But they don't need... you don't need a potion. You just need this stuff.
Oh, maybe.
Anyway,
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to what she was saying, TBH.
It's all good. I just find it funny, especially when this was written, the first movie had come out, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so, or the first two. And so they didn't want... movie stars don't have acne. So they didn't want all the actors to have acne on the set. And so this is how they kind of wrote their way out of it. But they also wrote the makeup people into a corner because some people had really strong cases of acne in the cast. And so it actually made it both better and more difficult. But
the first movie actually hadn't come out yet.
Oh, I was wrong then.
Yeah, this came out in 2000.
Really? That long ago?
Because I feel like... I mean, I definitely remember Deathly Hallows coming out, but like the book Deathly Hallows, but I feel like I would have remembered this one, and I feel like I remember the movie coming out, and
these ones all took longer to write too. There was
Yeah.
more time in between them because they're chunky.
Yeah, this one's an absolute brick.
No, Order of the Phoenix is an absolute brick. I thought this was long, and I was like, man, I finally finished it. I remember when I was like 13, I read it. I was like, man, I finally finished it, 700 and whatever pages it is. And then I'm like, what's next? And I'm like, I looked at it, and I was like, gotta take a break. Can't do this. Great storytelling, great characterization of the blast-ended Scroots. Really enjoyed that piece of
I had a joke
literature.
About the blast-ended Scroots, but I can't remember what it was.
They serve no purpose whatsoever.
No.
To the entire storyline, I think. Except there's some in the third task.
Mm-hmm.
But what I really enjoy, and this is kind of the last we get of it, is I guess we get a lot of Trelawney in Order of the Phoenix, but this is I just love Trelawney and the jokes and everything. And it's one of the best and most discounted character performances in Harry Potter is Professor Trelawney. Like top to bottom description of her is perfect.
Yes.
like when Ron, where is it? I'm right in saying you were born in midwinter? No, said Harry. I was born in July.
Yes.
But that's not the one I was talking about.
But it was no, but also wasn't Voldemort born in midwinter?
Yes.
That's where she got it.
Maybe. I think she just makes up stuff, and then when she goes, like, her eyes roll back, she'll go into a real trance.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think she's ever actually real. Although it's very convenient sometimes, because she said one of us will be leaving us by Easter, and that's when Hermione quits the class.
Yes.
And I thought that was funny. No, I wanted to talk about... I've got 2 Neptunes here, said Harry after a while, frowning down at his piece of parchment. That can't be right, can it? Oh, said Ron, imitating Professor Trelawney's mystical whisper. When 2 Neptunes appear in the sky, it is a sure sign that a midget in glasses is being born, Harry.
I love that part.
Ron is just like the best humor, and I love Ron for that, but I also hate Ron in the next chapter or two.
Yes.
And then Lavender gets something. Says, which one's that, Professor? It is Uranus, my dear, said Professor Trelawney, peering down at the chart. Can I have a look at Uranus too, Lavender? It's foreshadowing, though. Like, I don't know if she knew, but it's so funny that he makes the joke and then he goes out with Lavender 2 years after this. I know, but... Just good stuff. Really.
I could make a joke, but I won't.
No. And then I like later when they have to make all the excuses and make them all up. It's very good. I'll come back up later. What do you think of the scene with Malfoy as the ferret?
I love it.
Well, it's always great. But what do you think about the book interpretation versus the movie? Because the movie kind of shoves it into another scene.
Right. No, I like it. Because it just kind of, there was more of a foundation for it, of Harry and Draco fighting. They're gonna do a duel, and it goes horribly wrong. And
well, that's later. This is a different time they duel, or Harry doesn't even shoot back.
Oh, that's right.
Malfoy points it at his lap. Shoots him, tries to hit Harry with the curse behind his back.
Yes.
Oh, no, you don't, laddie.
Oh, no, you don't, laddie. And then, Moody, we never use transfiguration as a punishment. Surely Professor Dumbledore told you that. He might have mentioned it, yeah.
Brendan Gleeson. Perfect. But I do like this one where he's pounding him on the ground. He goes, don't do that ever again. And like, I always hit this with myself where I know it's Barty Crouch Jr., but it's kind of also still what Moody would have done. So I'm like, it's such a horrible write-off knowing that it's Barty Crouch Jr. the whole time. But on the same hand, I'm like, it is Moody though.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? But we'll get into that. Stinking, cowardly, scummy thing to do. And also, I think Barty clearly has it in for the Malfoys a bit. So that's part of why he takes it out on Draco a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've been looking forward to a chat with Old Snake. Come on, you. Some more. But yes, the unforgivable curses. This is one of the few. I think the book version is good and longer, and it's very good. A lot more to it, but I think Brendan Gleeson's performance brings up the material a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like he. Moody in the books is a little darker than the one in the movie was. And that's partly Brendan Gleeson and I think a lot Mike Newell, the director of Goblet of Fire, because he's a firecracker of a guy. Just like, Fred and George laugh with everyone else. what if they just beat each other up? And then he gets in there. He's like, no, beat him up like this. And Mike Newell's like beating up one of the twins.
Oh my gosh.
It's one of my favorite behind the scenes.
I haven't seen
and he's
that.
like, I think I just pulled something. Never doing that again. So like the weirdest guy they could have found, which is kind of why Goblet of Fire is like a Harry Potter fever dream of a movie. But it's still funny. But yeah, instead of like, he's like, Moody's like, you think it's funny, do you? You'd like it if I did it to you? And everyone just goes silent. Mm-hmm. But Brendan Gleeson starts laughing with them, and he throws it at Ron, and then throws it on Malfoy's face. Yeah. You're like, yeah. But then he's like, kill yourself. So it's still like, it still brings it all together in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And I like, and maybe this is just making up for other scenes of Moody that we get in the book, because he does mention this in the book, but Brendan Gleeson does a very, very good dialogue about the Imperious Curse.
Yes.
Which is not, it's completely absent from the book, which I didn't remember. Where he's going, many people claim they did who's bidding under the influence of the Imperious Curse. But how do we sort out the liars? It fills in a few gaps that I think would have been helpful, honestly, in the book.
Right.
I think if you had put that back in the book, because it's all under the surface, and it kind of bothers me because I know what it is that's kind of the underlying themes and whatever, and that's clearly what Barty Crouch Jr. cares about, as well as Moody. And he does kind of mention these things, sort of, but it's not direct. He doesn't directly explain it. Like, a little more exposition in this book is always helpful, and we don't really get it. But still perfect. And I like how they just brought this whole scene to the movie. And of course, like you said, we were missing the classic phrase, Moody's catchphrase.
Oh yeah, constant vigilance. Constant vigilance.
We're like screaming at them. But yeah, the other thing I wanted to note was, and I debate with myself about this, so I want to see what you think. Do you think Moody cares about Neville? Barty's taking Neville for a cup of tea because Moody would do that, or is he doing it because Barty Crouch Jr. feels guilty about torturing Neville's parents?
I feel like Barty Crouch Jr. is one of those, almost like one of those unforgivable villains that doesn't have a conscience. But that part's always really stood out to me. Like, that's very not like Moody. But now that you point it out, I mean, that's not really Barty Crouch Jr. either.
I think She Must Not Be Named just kind of had set Voldemort aside, and maybe Bellatrix, like a couple of those, as like these completely evil, no coming back characters. But then she goes through a great effort of making every character, bad or good, have a good conscience or have a real human side to them. And so I think even Barty Crouch Jr. to a small degree.
But also, I always get confused because I can't remember if it's in the books or the movies that someone said Barty Crouch Jr. tortured his parents, and then someone else says it was Bellatrix.
Oh, it's a group. It's 3 or 4 Death Eaters. Right. It's after Voldemort was killed.
Gotcha.
They're trying to rip some answers from the Longbottoms because they heard the rumor about Neville being the chosen one.
Okay.
And it was Harry. So that's what happens. I know Bellatrix and her husband, who I think his name's Rodolphus, doesn't matter. She doesn't even have. She has a kid with Voldemort instead, so he clearly doesn't matter that much. It's okay. We're gonna be okay. And then Barty Crouch Jr. and then I can't remember who the fourth person was. It's not a well-known Death Eater.
Was it Crabber Goyles?
No.
Okay.
It was none of the Malfoy connected circle people. It was like
Gotcha.
the crazy. It was kind of the crazies. Like
Oh,
I feel like in the Death Eaters, there's like the scale is not good to evil or anything. It's just sensible to insane. And it was people more on the insane side. While Lucius would be my example of a sensible Death Eater.
yes.
Especially in Order of the Phoenix. But that is a time. And then Karkaroff would also be a sensible one / fearful. I would be, yeah, it's sensible / fearful. Insane. Karkaroff, man. Really, really good performance though in the movie.
He did
He's
really
a skinny
well.
guy with yellow teeth. I mean, it's hard to mess up.
I mean, just try to make him look as much like Rasputin as possible.
I wonder, is that's not the same guy that plays Rasputin, is it?
In what?
Kingsman?
No, that was Luna's dad.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.
That guy's a great actor, though.
He is.
That guy's
the
funny.
Lizard. That guy. Anyways.
And I almost... I can't believe I'm praising the Goblet of Fire movie right now. But I think I like that Neville helps Harry with Gillyweed
better than
instead of Dobby, because Neville gets the book from Moody, and Moody gave it to him with the full knowledge that he would read it.
Yes.
So it plays together a little more.
Instead of just like shoehorning Dobby in there.
Yeah, no, he's still, I mean, because you're shoehorning Spew into there. You have to bring Dobby in.
Gotcha. Okay.
He still has a role to play. It's just not that one would be my preference. Oh yes. Got to bring up making up predictions.
We did that.
Well, no, I know, but I want to read it out.
Oh, okay. You do that.
Next Monday, I am likely to develop a cough, owing to the unlucky conjunction of Mars and Jupiter, which probably don't conjunct. I don't know about astronomy. And
no clue.
Harry says, I will be in danger because burns. And then Ron said, yeah, you will be. We're going to be working with blast-ended Scroots on Monday. And he's like, Tuesday, Al. And Harry's like, lose the treasured possession. And he loses a fight because Harry loses a bet because Ron's like, I'm going to lose the fight. Just really funny. And I like how they get the full marks in class.
Yes.
For predicting all the misery. Spew, man. I hate it.
Are we
we've
still...
we've been working like house elves here. It's an expression.
Are we still in chapter 14?
Yes. There's a lot in chapter 14. Just a lot to bring up. Yes. Yeah. I'm on page 224. SPEW. And I always forget what it stands for. It's
Stop Outrageous Abuse.
No, it's the Society for the Promotion of Elvish Warfare. Welfare. Honestly, and it's later in the book, but Ron goes, what are we? The House Elf Liberation Front?
Yes.
That's a far better title.
It is.
Except health is less, but Hermione wouldn't come up with a good title. Clearly.
No.
She barely came up with this title. What is the one she said? S-O. So wow. Tills. I'm sorry, listeners, for help. She said, I was going to put stop the outrageous abuse of our fellow magical creatures and campaign for a change in their legal status, but it wouldn't fit.
So that's the heading of our manifesto.
But like, it's so frustrating because she's right, but nobody is.
Nobody
It's
cares.
that it's not. Nobody cares. It's not going to change. And Ron says loudly, "They like it. They like being enslaved," which is not, Ron. That's not a good point, right, Cole?
Correct. Yes, I agree. We do not like being enslaved.
No, Cole. You like being enslaved.
Oh, we do like being enslaved. Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna give you
Then
a
how?
sock.
Then how? No, don't give me a sock.
I'm gonna give you this hat.
No, not a hat. Leave me in my pillowcase be. I have a wand. I stole it.
And this is the part that the movie was missing, just finishing up chapter 14.
Yeah.
Sirius is saying there's more going on. There's so much going on. Is the latest in a series of strange rumors that have reached me here. So Bertha Jorkins, all this stuff going on. There's all this interconnected tissue.
Mm-hmm. I do like one thing I like about the book that they really didn't have time to do in the movie was all the letters back and forth with Sirius.
Yeah. And conversations for that.
And just conversations. I mean, because we got one. He did the fire thing.
I think we got one letter, the fire scene, because the fire scene didn't require Gary Oldman to be on set.
Mm-hmm.
He was too expensive. So they didn't do the cave scene where we actually see Sirius and we don't get most of the letters.
All right. But Sirius is one of my favorite characters. So I'm just glad we got to see a little bit more interaction with him in the book.
Yeah. Sirius is great. Is he your favorite Marauder?
No. That has to be Lupin.
Okay. I was going to say, I think Lupin's my favorite, but yeah, Sirius is a really, really cool character. And I think James would have been great, but we just didn't get. He's a character. He just dies. He's the Uncle Ben of the Marauders.
That's Harry Potter's canon event.
It's both his parents dying.
Both his parents dying.
Have you read Cursed Child?
Oh yeah, I read it in one day.
I was gonna say, because that literally is Harry Potter's version of a canon event.
That's true.
So, and we're making a reference to Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And if you haven't seen it, you should.
It's been out for a few months now.
Correct. Because we're recording in the booze.
Woo!
Anyway, chapter 15, Bo Battens and Durmstrang. I don't think I have any notes on this chapter.
No, because it's pretty much what happened in the movie.
And they left out Harry being under the Imperious Curse, which is fine. Although he did fracture both of his kneecaps, which is
he doesn't need him.
Why are the schools coming so late in the school year? Like, I don't like the movie that much, but like it makes a lot more sense for them to come in
at the beginning
September.
Yes.
And have the first task in October. Like, this is like, they'll be here on Halloween. And the first task will be in like literally winter.
Hey, at least they'll get warmed up.
I can't remember. We haven't gotten to that part yet, but I can't remember if they have to get another dragon for Harry or not. I think they do.
I think they do.
But Hermione does agree that Cedric is handsome.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Objectively, he is handsome.
I mean, he's Batman.
It's also true.
He was also a Spider vampire.
I was going to say, that's not, neither of the first two he mentioned are his most renowned performances. And his Batman name is Robat Batten Bat.
I'm not saying that.
In case anyone was wondering. It's not Battinson. It's as many bats as you can fit in the name. Anyway, Facebook group I'm in. Shout out to them. Anyway, Hermione read Hogwarts a History and no one else did. She complains about how it doesn't mention house elves. I don't remember when it was that she found out, but we just found out in this book that house elves work in the kitchens, and that's how everything appears magically, which was probably something She Must Not Be Named knew back in at least Chamber of Secrets. But I still like that. Yeah, I like that they keep it secret. They don't tell anyone these things.
And then yeah, and then they're talking about how do you even get in the kitchens. I was sitting there going, I thought Fred and George discussed this in the last book. You just tickle the pear painting next to the Hufflepuff dorm.
That's later in this book.
That's later in this book. Okay.
They mention that they've been to the kitchens.
Right.
And then they take them to the kitchens to see Dobby and Winky.
Okay, got it.
But I love Fred and George. Like, Fred's trying to ignore Hermione, and then George is like, listen, have you been down in the kitchens, Hermione? No, of course not. I don't think students are supposed to. Well, we have. Loads of times to nick food. And we know this. Literally previous books, just all the time, nicking food. And we met them, and they're happy. They think they've got the best job in the world, which, if you work at Hogwarts as a house elf, you kind of do. I guess when it depends on which headmaster you serve, but
that's true.
Dippet and I mean any of them in the 1900s have it pretty much made. They have Dippet, who's probably not, he's not mean by any means. He's just not much to scream about. And then Dumbledore, and then Snape wouldn't have been mean to them.
No,
you would just ignored them.
Yeah,
and then McGonagall
would have been
boom. I guess Umbridge would have been bad to them. Yeah. If she had to. But honestly, if they just carry on as usual, even the mean headmasters, what can they complain about?
Right. I was going to say something that was about this with Hogwarts Legacy, but I can't remember what it was.
Do they? I don't think I've never seen a house elf in there.
In what?
Hogwarts Legacy.
In the kitchen?
I've never been in the kitchen in that game. I don't think.
I've explored almost every inch of the castle, and I haven't
played that much of it.
Got it. Yeah, there's a house elf. There's a house elf that plays a pretty big part of the story.
Mm.
And then, yeah, you do find the kitchen, and you can nick food from the kitchen.
I'm a stinker of a Harry Potter fan because I just have not been pushing myself to finish it. Clearly, I've been busy, listeners, reading this chunky book and hosting all these episodes.
Oh my In the past.
It's like they're looking. It's like the listeners are looking through a pensieve.
Ooh, that's what we should subtitle this: is the pensieve episodes.
It's good. At least we could call them that. Maybe in parentheses or something. From the pensieve. That'd be funny. Maybe if we would do like a re-release or compilations, that would be what we call them.
There you go.
Perfect. We look at us. Look at us. Who would have thought?
Who'd have thought? Not me. Oh my god.
You know what I just saw last night for the first time?
What?
Anchorman.
Oh yes.
I'd never actually watched it all.
We love Anchorman. We love Anchorman.
That was hilarious.
I don't know what we're yelling about.
60% of the time, it works.
Works every time.
That doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't know if my favorite line of that shot is. I think I really like Will Ferrell going, that doesn't make any sense.
I love that movie.
It's really, really good. I think it's one of the best comedies I've watched ever. And it was so niche, and it had so many great actors and like so many creative things, and it would not be released today either.
So the second one, they do another news station battle.
It was like almost 9 years later. The second one.
It wasn't as good, but there's another news station battle, but they bring in more cameos of famous actors, and it's great.
I could tell people. I never really watched the first one, obviously, but I remember a lot of people being mad about the second one being made. Well, not mad, but they were kind of like, why? And once I saw the first one, it made more sense. It was definitely kind of a one-off picture.
Yes.
Not saying there isn't still more opportunity for funny things, but
heck, there's a whole
the second
podcast.
one's the one. I was gonna say the second one's where Will Ferrell does they're coming into the back door.
Yes.
Anyway, back to the book.
Great
letter from Sirius here in chapter 15. Nice try, Harry.
Nice.
Harry tried to convince him not to come. Really good. I'm not talking to the Apple computer. Sorry. I said Sirius.
Oh, no.
And it thought I was saying the first part of that, which I can't say again because I'll activate it again. But Harry tried to get him to not come. He's like, nice try, Harry. I'm already here. Because I'm the freaking goat.
He is.
Actually, turns into a dog, but...
imagine if everybody else, someone turns into a wolf, someone turns into a deer, someone turns into a mouse, and what does the last one turn into? A freaking goat.
There's got to be an animagus that turns into a goat. Aberforth's is a goat. That's it. No, he doesn't turn into a goat, but his Patronus is a goat.
Uh-oh.
I won't get into that. The hardcore Harry Potter fans know what I'm leaning into there.
I have no clue. You'll have to.
He has something of a fascination with goats, I think.
Yes, I remember that now.
And they never truly address it, but I don't want to know type deal. I love this. Just tiny little note. Weasley, straighten your hat. You ever be reading these and then you're like, wait a second. In the books, every single person is wearing a wizard's hat all the time.
Right?
Listeners, Harry Potter fans everywhere, do you realize by getting a more, quote unquote, more faithful adaptation of Harry Potter, these are the things we're going to get? I don't want kids in giant wizard hats for 10 years.
I do because I like big hats.
You like big hats?
I like big hats.
Are you going to tell the truth about that one?
I like big hats. No.
Sorry, no, I was saying I like big hats and I can't lie.
Oh.
But still.
That too.
I didn't look this up because I didn't have time, but I'm interested to see. I would love to see what the Beauxbatons carriage looks like on the inside.
Right.
But anyway, chapter 16, the Goblet of Fire, a.k.a. Karkaroff is a scumbag.
Karkaroff.
The Goblet of Fire!
The Goblet of Fire! Said Dumbledore calmly.
Oh, there's a really cool image in the illustrated edition of Dumbledore with the Goblet of Fire. And he's so much more of a book Dumbledore in the way he's like looks.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, pretty much similar stuff. Michael Gambon does this scene great. My next note was just that Karkaroff is like just being a jerk to everybody but Crumb. Like Crumb is his prize pupil. And I don't feel like, and for once, I feel the Goblet of Fire is not impartial. It literally picked the most like ideal, like I guess most ideal. It picked the fan favorite of each school.
Right.
Like Fleur might be the only exception to that rule, but even then, everyone was like, "Oh, of course it was going to be that girl."
That was it. I thought it was funny when they described the Beauxbatons' reaction to the goblet, to Fleur being chosen, and it's like all the other girls cried. I was like, "Y'all need to stop."
That's what I find interesting too, is that even though there are other wizarding schools, they address that Hogwarts is definitely the best and best treating of students.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the movies made a big mistake because there are guys and girls from each school, but I don't think they brought any Durmstrang girls. I don't know if I noticed that.
No.
At the very least, they don't mention them. the Beauxbaton students are very, very rigid, strict. Madame Maxine clearly runs a tight ship. And then Durmstrang, on the other hand, is like, they're just not valued very well. They're holding the plates and they're like, wow, look at these. And Karkaroff's just trashy towards them. Like, clearly Durmstrang, being pure blood and all that, is not all it's cracked up to be. Like, it doesn't seem to be that nice of a school, like cold and dark. And yeah.
Not that Hogwarts is very warm.
It is in its own ways.
Like, it is in its own ways, but it's like a dark.
It depends where you're at. The corridors are cold, but the classrooms are cozy and the common rooms are cozy. So it's like, just clearly Durmstrang doesn't have it very nice.
You know what else is cozy in Hogwarts? The kitchens with the house elves.
Which I haven't seen.
They love it down there.
Professor, I would like some wine.
Professor, I would like... No, get back!
Polyakov. I forget where Bulgaria is. It's like Eastern Europe.
Yes.
So I guess a lot of Eastern Europe students. It's probably somewhere in Russia.
Yeah,
who knows?
It's
where Durmstrang is, I mean.
Oh, right. Yeah, because that used to be part of the... How does that fit in this? Because they're still Soviets at this point. No, they're
not. No, they're not.
In the 90s?
After what, didn't the Soviet Union end in 1990?
7.
Oh, never mind.
I think.
Well, and there's we're getting into the weeds here. There is a Russian wizardry school, though.
Oh.
So Durmstrang has to be more Europe somewhere. Finland, Bulgaria regions. It's unplottable, so we don't know where it is.
91. You're closer than I was.
Oh, it was right. Okay, good. Yeah, but still. A lot of things don't factor in.
No.
And then Karkaroff is just like, bravo, Victor, I knew you had it in you. It's like, of course Victor was going to be chosen. Who else was going to be chosen?
Not me.
It's also interesting that Dumbledore doesn't help Diggory or Potter at all.
No.
But the other ones are holding their hands practically through the whole tournament. And Dumbledore's just letting them run through it. But yeah, this is the part that everyone likes to talk about. When Dumbledore asks very calmly, "Did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire?" I don't enjoy the fact that, I mean, there's a lot of fun back and forth, and Moody is clearly talking about what he did because he's Barty Crouch Jr. And we kind of get a rushed version of that in the movies, but the book is definitely good. Because they hoodwinked a very fat, powerful magical object. It goes into all of the details of what he probably did.
Yes.
But still great stuff. It's my job to think the way dark wizards do, Karkaroff, as you ought to remember.
There was so much animosity between the two. It was great.
And Barty Crouch Sr.'s already starting to look thin. Already not looking good. Maybe he happened to lose his Death Eater son.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yep. But it's just so annoying that no one believes Harry. And Anyway, chapter 18, The Weighing of the Wands, aka Spencer hates this chapter.
Yes, agreed.
I don't enjoy parts of this series where everyone's annoying. Everyone hates everyone. Like Hermione's the one reasonable person in the last two chapters we read today, 17 and 18. Like, she takes him out onto the lakeside and brings him breakfast and doesn't make him go into the grand hall where everybody would be staring at him. her and Hagrid actually believe his story, which of course Hagrid does because Dumbledore does.
Mm-hmm.
But it's great to have a couple people like that, but everyone, and I mean everyone, hates Harry now.
Yes.
It is horrible. Just horrible thing after horrible thing.
To quote Draco from the Lego Harry Potter games.
They should have just made it so everybody in the Lego game booed Harry.
I wish. That would have been great.
But so frustrating. And like, I know Rita Skeeter's the worst. Okay, I knew that was coming. None of this is surprising me, but I was like, I hate Rita Skeeter. This scene in the broom cupboards is so annoying. But what I forget about is Snape, Malfoy, all of Cole, all of our Hufflepuff brethren.
I know.
Are nasty. I can't blame them, but I can't side with them either. Like Ernie McMillan and Justin Fletchley. So hard to say. They're Dumbledore's army members, but in this book, they're trash. Just horrible people. And so it's just, and then Ron, one of my favorite characters, maybe my number 2 favorite character in Harry Potter, is so mean.
They made Harry feel like he was all alone in the world again. Like he may as well go back to the Dursleys and live under their cupboard.
Yeah, this has never happened before. And will never happen again.
Gosh. Yeah, well, there's a reboot.
No, I meant like in the whole series, like Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, not Prisoner of Azkaban, I guess. And then this one, Order of the Phoenix, and so on and so forth. Ugh. This is why I've said it multiple times on the previous episodes, Cole, but I have grown to really dislike Order of the Phoenix. Like, I think it's my bottom book. Because it's just this for an entire book. Essentially. Few bright moments and a guffaw of annoyance. But yeah, just so frustrating. Potter stinks. Boo. But yeah, we talked about this we had to talk about this in the Snape character study because I've decided that Snape is super overrated along with Draco Malfoy.
Yes.
And the books pointed out perfectly, like, we need to hate Snape. In the movies, you can't hate Alan Rickman.
No.
Very much. He's great. Because he literally, like, Hermione's teeth are all the way down to here, if not longer. And he goes, I see no difference. And sends her off crying to the hospital. Are you doing Lego sound effects?
Yes. Always Lego sound effects.
Ooh. Ah. That's what they do in the Lego.
And everything up until Lego Lord of the Rings.
I think Harry could have almost fixed it. I mean, they're 14-year-olds, so of course he can't. But he could have just went, hey, do you want to sit and read this letter from Sirius with me? And then he'd know that Sirius is coming to talk to him, and then he would dump everything to talk to Sirius with Harry, and then they wouldn't have had the next argument they have, which is when Harry doesn't tell Ron that he's talking to Sirius. And Ron's like, practicing your lines for your next interview, I expect. I'm going to be mad at you for 6 more chapters. They have to have a falling out every 14. I had these two when I was in high school over dumb things. It's just annoying that we have to read it again and experience it. And the movies did this well. Gotta love Emma Watson. I'm not an owl.
I'm not an owl. I'm not your messenger boy.
But yeah, this is I don't know. Listeners, cast in your votes, send your messages in, but we're trying to debate after we finish Order of the Phoenix this fall if we're going to do straight through the last 2 books or we want to do a rewatch of the movies. Because we still haven't done a rewatch of the movies yet. And we're like a few seasons in, so that would be fun though.
I kind of
this is making me want to dive back in.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think it would be good. You're already through the books. Just finish it off.
See,
Finish
it's
it
a 50.
off.
I'm 50-50 about it, but I like the structure. I like mixing it up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, any final thoughts about this section of the book?
No, is that the last?
That was the last chapter, chapter 18.
Oh, and that was the way. The Four Champions was 17.
Yeah, I kind of brushed over the parts that I hated, which was most of this chapter.
Yeah, you're not
quick
wrong.
Quotes, the quick quotes, Quill and Rita Skeeter and Ludo's fun. Ludo is a good part of this section too.
Yeah.
Like he's all bubbly and excited about Harry joining, like he doesn't care about any of the other stuff.
That's right. I started reading ahead. That's why I'm a little confused.
Ah, good for you. Bugger for you. Yes. Anyway, yeah, thank you so much for listening, guys.
Yeah, thank you guys.
From the post.
Ooh.
I believe next episode is going to be we're actually going to be recording our quote unquote first episode in the present for the yearly prophet. We're going to take a break. If the schedule is right in my brain, we're going to take a break, do the yearly prophet, do our first new episode of the season, and then we'll have pre-recorded episodes for the next 3 parts of the book. Which we're going to get in the nitty gritty. We're going to get in the first task in a couple chapters. It's going to get wild, even though the book is kind of about other things at the movie. Is that a wand?
Yeah, it's a Newt Scamander wand pen.
Count on Cole to have the cool stuff. Anyway, listeners, thanks for tuning in. And until next time, mischief managed and spew forever.
No.